Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing with Ally podcast. And I am very pleased to have with me here this evening Mr. Kris Austin from Draft Digital. Hello, Kris.
Hey, hi Orna, how are you?
Very well. Great to see you. It's been a long time since we last connected. I don't want to think about how long.
Yes.
And we also are very pleased to have with us here Andy Hunter from bookshop.org. Hello, Andy.
Hi, thank you for
Uh,
having me.
it's great. First time for Andy and bookshop.org on the Ally podcast. So, yes, you are very welcome. And the reason we are having this conversation is because there are some very exciting news to announce. So, who wants to be the person to make the big announcement? I'll ask you to, Kris, you can just tell us, first of all, tell the people what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very excited to announce that indie authors will be able to get all their books into bookshop.org, all their ebooks for sale, happening very shortly. And yeah, it's just going to be really exciting to let indie bookstores buy indie author ebooks. So.
Fantastic. So we get into in a moment around the format thing. But yeah, in one sentence, I suppose, if you could each kind of say to me, what does it mean that bookshop.org is now going to be a draft to digital partner? Yeah. Andy, would you like to say what does that mean for you?
One sentence might be a challenge, but I think the important thing is that now, for the first time in history, independent bookstores can sell ebooks from self-published independent authors, and it's a massive change.
Yeah, it's great. And Kris, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, indie bookstores will be able to have this essential inventory of indie authors. Self-published books are bigger than ever, and they should be able to participate in that market.
Absolutely. And why, how did this come about? What problem were you each kind of trying to solve with this move, Andy?
Well, for me, it's always been about establishing an ecosystem that has parity with what Amazon has. And it's really hard to do that because we're a tiny, tiny team with probably literally 1,000th the resources that Amazon has. But we really want local independent bookstores to be able to go head to head with Amazon on their turf. And right now, they haven't been able to sell ebooks at all. And even though ebooks are a significant part of the book market, so we launched our platform in January of last year that would allow them to start selling ebooks. We had a very successful first year, but we felt the absence of independent authors. I mean, really, ebooks never would have had been the success that they have been without independent authors. Independent authors are like the spirit and engine behind the success and growth and continued like fandom of ebooks. And so I also think that like the word indie is a really extremely important part of what bookshop.org does, and it's an extremely important part of what Drafted Digital does. Like we're all about supporting the independents. And so this was like such an incredibly natural fit. I mean, we were talking about it even when we launched our initial offering in January of last year. We've been talking about adding Drafted Digital, and it has taken a while for us to get the experience and the platform up to par so that we can afford to bring on, 600,000 new titles or more and make sure that the reader experience and the author experience is great for both.
Brilliant. So, territory wise, talk to me about that. I mean, this is ebooks. So, in terms of their availability, what does that mean exactly? Is this a US thing? Is it a worldwide thing?
Right now, it's US and UK. Bookshop does intend to one day spread our digital platform throughout the world. We do have people in Canada, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Brazil. They're all asking us to bring the platform there. And we will get there. But for like what we're turning on next month, it should be US and UK.
Okay, great. So Kris, will you just walk us through the author journey? What will this mean for those authors who are already on Draft to Digital? What should they be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, I would like to say that indie authors, they always want to participate wherever they can, and being able to support their local bookstores is going to be huge because we all care about our local community bookstores, and authors are no different, and they want to be able to have an offering for those stores, and this allows them to participate in a way they've never been able to do before. While their print titles are there because of Bookshop, their ebooks have never been there, and most indie authors don't have their books in print, and this is wonderful for that. And so with the Draft to Digital platform, they'll be able to easily add these as a regular retail location through the normal processes. So for an individual book on the publish page, they're just going to go straight there, and bookshop.org will be one of the options right on there. But when we launch this, all authors will start to get a pop-up on their dashboard, and they can opt in all of their eligible titles with one button. They just click one button, and it'll just do all the rest, and it'll be done. There's nothing for them to do. So,
Okay, you mentioned print, and I would like to discuss print. And yeah, let's just talk about that. So this is ebook only. Draft to Digital does have a print facility now, which talk to me about why isn't there a print distribution for bookshop.org through Draft to Digital? Are there practical reasons for that? What exactly is going on there?
yeah, well, there already is print. That's the nice thing. It's actually 4 years for already ever since D2D print existed and Bookshop existed. All the D2D print books have been available on bookshop.org already. In fact, it's one of the fastest retailers to show the books once they get listed through our platform. It's very, very quick. And so as of right now, anybody using D2D print, their books are already on bookshop.org and they can buy the books. Their readers can buy books there and choose their local library local bookstore to support. And then the bookstore will be supported by that purchase.
Okay, Andy, we get anecdotal feedback that the indie authors are having problems with bookshop.org in the UK. Not so much from US authors, but that their books are not being listed. Are you aware of this? Is this something that you're kind of aware of?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
something I'm aware of.
Okay.
And
Talk to
the
me a
issue
bit about
is,
that.
sure. Right now, we can't carry Gardner's firm sale books. So Gardner's is the distributor that we work with, the wholesaler that we work with in the UK. And the when a print-on-demand book is listed as firm sale, meaning it's not returnable, and actually the discounts aren't the same. So the discount is the difference between a wholesale price and a retail price. And the discount, the difference that we pay booksellers in the UK is 30% of the cover price. So oftentimes those firm sale books will have a retailer discount of maybe 10%, in which case we would be losing 20% of the cover price every time we sold one of those books. And so it actually has to do with how they're set up in that system with gardeners. They just have to have a 30% discount or more. Some retailer discounts are 50%, 60%, but they have to have at least 30%, and they have to have it not be a firm sale book, which would allow a return. We don't actually, in practice, do any returns, but for our systems to take the books, it has to be considered returnable. And if those two specifications are met, those books will be listed just fine on Bookshop UK. And I do understand that we need to do a better job of explaining that to people. I don't actually run Bookshop UK. I'm the CEO of bookshop.org US. UK is a separate entity, but I am aware of this issue. And I do want to make sure that independent authors understand, especially now with this partnership, understand that yeah, they can get their books listed on Bookshop UK. It just has to fall under those distribution terms.
Okay, that's interesting, and perhaps we will take it up with your UK colleague because we have a problem with gardeners miscategorizing books so that even when our authors set them as returnable and with a even 55 or percent discount, they're still not being listed sometimes. So that seems to be, this is one of the questions I was dying to ask you, actually.
Yeah.
So it seems to be that's possibly happening at Gardner's side rather than bookshop.org side.
I mean, if that is happening, please just shoot me an email after this and
Yeah,
we can start a conversation about that because I definitely don't want any independent authors to feel like they're being neglected by the platform.
that's great. That's great to hear. Indie is used, for bookstores and for authors. And there's, as Kris, you so rightly said, there's so much that we have in common in terms of, wanting to support each other and wanting to see both succeed because it's a everybody who's involved in the books business is interdependent. However, there is a separation between those. Do you see any differences in how you handle the books for indie authors and the books for indie bookstores?
Are you asking me, Orna? Sorry. Go
Yes,
ahead.
yeah, one's for
Yeah,
you.
so it's definitely an interesting relationship, in indie bookstores, these owners of these bookstores, they always have a very exciting way to think about books, and they're always very highly motivated in selling books. Um, and the indie authors also are just completely passionate about what they're doing, and they try so many different things. So both these groups really do a lot of similar activities in how they think about their businesses. What I think can sometimes run into a bit of a challenge is these indie bookstores. I haven't really thought, I think, a lot deeply about self-published books and what they can offer them and what they can bring to them. And I think that there's still a lingering stigma from the early days of self-publishing, that self-published authors' books aren't really as good as traditionally published books. The retail industry does not believe that anymore, doesn't act like that anymore. Readers definitely don't act like that anymore. And I think that's important for indie bookstores to realize that this is inventory their readers will want. Um, and we've been talking to a lot of independent bookstores ourselves directly, here locally, in Oklahoma City area or random places that we have employees, and they're all very excited about being able to sell these sorts of titles. So I think it's really going to be a really good match. I'm very excited about how everybody's responding. Everyone's very positive about the idea. So.
Yep, that's great. Are there any limitations we should know about? Anything that doesn't apply?
Not when
Not
it
that I
comes to the
know of.
ebooks, I don't think so. One nice thing that most people probably don't realize is that the vast majority of the ebooks we'll be providing are DRM free, which will be very, very useful, especially for readers that want to read their books on something besides the Bookshop app. The DRM-free ebooks can be moved around to allow readers to read where they want to read. I think it's a very important thing, considering most of ebook content up to this point on bookshop.org is not DRM free. So I think this will be a really helpful thing. So.
That wasn't something I was aware of. That's really interesting. That's a great move.
It's going to be wonderful for us. I mean, the most consistent complaint we've gotten since we launched ebooks is like too many of these are DRM protected. And of course, it's not us that makes that decision, it's the publisher. Um, but now we're going to be able to have such an incredible rich catalog of books that are all DRM free. Um, Plenty for anybody who like refuses to buy a book that isn't DRM free. We'll now have plenty for them to choose from. And we've done a good job of expanding our DRM free catalog in the past like 11 months, but this is going to open the floodgates and hopefully like be a lesson to other publishers that like DRM free books can thrive and you can make a lot of money with less restrictions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think for indie authors it's difficult for us to understand how that message is not is not filtering through. But I mean, great for us, so that's fine.
Right.
Yes, so the other thing, could we turn to look a little bit at visibility? Obviously, availability is one thing, but are there ways in which, what determines whether an indie author's book will actually be surfaced on bookshop.org? Obviously, they have to do their own marketing. We understand that, but is there anything they should know about visibility and discoverability?
I mean, the simplest answer is that the most recent 30 days of sales will have the biggest impact. And then the second biggest impact is going to be lifetime sales. And then we get into like exactness and filtering based on topic and that kind of thing. But if you have a book called like The Champions and you've sold 10 copies in the past 30 days, and then there's another book called, it's also called The Champions, and they've sold one copy, your book will be first. It's a very simple and democratic process that it's really the sales that count. And we certainly will have we'll be featuring new books when they come out. We'll have newsletters for new ebooks or ebooks that are discounted. So there's lots of different ways to juice your sales so that you become more visible. And then, of course, it's a virtuous cycle where you become more visible and then you sell more. And we're also going to be looking at, making our search better and allowing people to search more by mood or genre. Where right now our search is very, very tied to like keywords and titles and author names and that kind of thing. But we want people to be able to say, I want a dark fantasy, dystopian romance, and find some suggestions. So that's where we're going to be headed with search. And I'm sure that these authors will benefit from those improvements.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's a year from now, Kris, and what would make you feel that this partnership has been a success, both from the indie bookstore point of view, the indie author point of view?
Yeah, so it would be successful to me if um, indie authors have decided that this is the first place they should send their readers to buy their books. I really think that we should all be encouraged to get people wide and not putting all their eggs in the Amazon basket, and also supporting their local bookstores. I think it just makes a much healthier ecosystem, and I think this will be successful if we've convinced authors of that and that authors are telling their readers, hey, you need to go buy my book at bookshop.org so you can support your local bookstore.
And Andy, can you, for those who may not be aware, just explain exactly how that help happens? What exactly are they doing by selling their book through bookshop.org and not through some other platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So we built this whole platform start to finish, so it's completely independent. And we're a completely independent company. Not only are we self-funding, but we never took VC money. We have restrictions on how we could leave the company or sell the company, where we can't sell to Amazon or any major retailers. That's in our shareholder agreement. So we're really trying to be mission-based and be here for the long haul, and so that people who invest in our platform can be sure that it's always going to be on mission. And the mission is to support local independent bookstores and make sure that they succeed and that our kids grow up in a future that has independent bookstores. And it's really working. In the past 6 years, more bookstores have opened every single year than closed. And for the 15 years before that, every single year, more bookstores closed than opened. We lost half of our bookstores through the rise of Amazon. And so even if you love Amazon and you make a lot of money on Amazon, to understand that you benefit from a diverse ecosystem, everybody does. If there's more than one player, it's just the readership thrives. It's better for authors, it's better for publishers, it's better for readers. And so independent bookstores are really important. Now, the way that this works is if you buy an ebook through an independent bookstore, they get the full profit margin off of your ebook. So if you set the profit margin to 30%, which is like standard industry pricing, where the publisher gets 70 and the author gets 30, then that means the bookstore will get 30%. If you set it to 50-50, the bookstore will get 50% of that sale price. We don't take a cut at all for this ebooks that are sold through independent bookstores. That's part of being a mission-based company. We're building all this technology so that they can succeed and they can make these connections. If you were to go to bookshop.org directly and not buy through an independent bookstore, but just buy from us directly, then two-thirds of the profit will go to supporting the platform, and one-third of the profit will go into a profit pool, which is shared amongst all of our bookstores. We now have 2,900 bookstores, and the profit pool is sending about $4.5 million to those stores every year.
Fantastic. It's a wonderful mission, and Draft to Digital is also a mission-based organization, right? Talk to us a
Yes.
little bit about your mission, Kris, and how that, how that makes this the perfect partnership in a way.
Sure thing. We believe that authors are and should be the center of the publishing universe, and that they're the most important part of what is done, and um, our goals are always to help them succeed, and to help them to achieve their goals. And in this partnership, this is another way where they can achieve their goals by getting their books into the hands of readers that may not have ever known who they were. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so any final words? We're coming close to running out of time. Any final things you'd like to say that we haven't covered?
I think I just want to say this has so much potential. We're a really small team. We have about 4 to 5 engineers working on this platform. Amazon's Kindle and KDP probably has 500 engineers working on it. But we've already been exceeding our goals. And in the long run, we think that this is going to be a real game changer. As booksellers become used to selling ebooks from independent authors and independent authors form stronger bonds with their local booksellers, everybody's going to benefit. And, we're looking into like, what would it look like if Bookshop had a Kindle killer e-ink device? What would it look like if we did a subscription service? All these different things that can expand and grow the market. And we're all about growing the size of the pie for independent authors and independent bookstores. And we think that there's a natural affinity between the two, and we're happy to strengthen that bond.
That's really lovely. Kris?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that the potential here is enormous, and I think it can make a massive impact on the entire industry. And we need to all be involved in making that happen. This is not one person doing it. It takes the whole community to make this sort of impact. So,
Yeah, fantastic. And if I can also say that we think it has wonderful potential, and we are very excited that two of our favorite organizations are coming together in this way, and delighted with the opportunity that it is going to open up for our members and the wider community. So thank you both very much.
Thank
thank
you.
you.